NBA Draft Prospect Scouting Reports. This is Isaiah Collier's edition. Brian Ralph is with me to break down one of the best freshmen in college basketball last season, who is now taking his talents to the NBA draft. Isaiah Collier, some injury issues in and out of the lineup for a USC team that had a lot of guys coming in and out of the lineup for various reasons. But man, when he was on the court, he showed flashes of brilliance. What is your general overview of Isaiah Collier, the player?
At his best, Isaiah Collier is somebody who excels getting downhill, attacks the rim with, I don't want to say reckless abandon because he's not necessarily reckless. He is under control, but he's like a freight train. It's hard to stop with the speed and strength he goes in there with. He's really good there. He's growing as a playmaker, has the tools to be a really high level defender if he buys in and plays with consistent effort on that end. Jump shot has to become more consistent. I think overall effort has become more consistent, and that we see that a lot with highly rated freshmen. He was one of the top rated freshmen coming in, and then a USC team whose season did not go the way it was supposed to. There was some effort questions in there, and I think some questions about motivation, not just for him, but for the overall team at large. Once things started going downhill, it's also the reason why Andy Enfield jumped ship for SMU and is no longer at USC. But I think he's somebody who you look at the flashes you mentioned, you look at the tools, and I think you can convince yourself that there is a star in there somewhere.
Yeah, if you're looking for like upside shots in this draft, I think Collier's a decent one. Now, caveat being that nobody likes this draft, and the general premise is that there aren't many upside guys. But that might make him more valuable to teams because he was a really prestigious recruit, and in some services he was the number one recruit in the country. He has NBA size. He's a 6'5", 210-pound point guard. And I don't think we know what he is off of the year at USC because it was kind of just the year from hell for 1,000 different reasons, not many of which were Isaiah Collier's fault. And when you step back broadly and look at the numbers, I mean, you're not going to find many point guards that shoot 54% at the rim or from 2-point range. Like he gets to the rim at will and is strong and can finish. And I think there is some I don't know, some history, some guys you can point to that are like, that's what Collier could be, that have become some of the very best guards in this league. So it's just a question of whether or not he actually hits that ceiling.
Yeah.
Let's get to one word to describe Isaiah Collier. What do you got?
I didn't do this on purpose, but it was one of the first words you used when introducing him. I think it's flash. I think both with a style of play, when he's rolling, he gets really flashy and he's a lot of fun to watch. But his best stuff also comes in flashes and is not something we've been able to see consistently from him. The idea of him being a high-level NBA prospect, the idea of him becoming a starter in this league and even a star in this league, if you think that's his ceiling, is based upon those flashes becoming more consistent and being who he is as opposed to just flashing.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I went with dog, and it might be kind of lazy, but I just see this kid as a dog. I do. I'm not the biggest, like, do you have that dog in you guy? In fact, I make a lot of jokes about that, but I challenge you to watch Isaiah Collier when he is fully like motivated, locked in a competitive environment, and come away with a different word to describe him. I think the sad reality is that USC's circumstances last year kind of hid this or covered it up because nobody would point to USC, the basketball team, and be like, those guys played with a lot of heart. But I don't think it was Collier who was the problem with that when he was available and healthy. I think it was more the circumstances themselves, and that might pose an opportunity for NBA teams to get a guy who has some of that might not have the reputation for that the way he once did. I still see the high school player who was like, remember that outdoor event in Chicago a couple years ago, and he hits the game winner, and like all the best players in the world were there, and Collier was clearly the best player on the floor, and they're just hooping outside, and there was nothing you could do to stop him. Like that is who he is at his core to me, and I hope we see that in the league.
We have different thoughts on him then. I think he can be that. I think he can be that.
Okay.
I know the next category we're getting into is whether he's more likely to hit his floor or hit his ceiling at the NBA level. The other prospects, top end prospects that come to mind for me of guys who went to college and their college teams really underachieved. were Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons.
Oh no.
And neither of them lived up to the hype in the NBA. Now, injuries, you could argue, derailed both of those. But the things that I think you need to become a star or high level NBA player are traits that, when you are this talented, should, in most cases, there are always exceptions, and Collier's case might be an exception, should in most cases make your college team viable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I want to jump ship now that I heard that. I'm out. Yeah, I mean, this team stunk, and injury concerns. You're right. Oh, whoa, big guard can do it all. Goodness, I'm terrified right now. Let's just move on. Floor or ceiling? What's more likely?
So
I had floor, Brian.
yeah, I had floor too, kind of for those reasons. Where I think he's a fine player. I think he's going to carve out a multi-contract NBA career. I just don't know how long and lucrative those contracts are going to be. So
Yeah.
I have him more as floor.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it hurts my heart. I have floor as well. And as much as I say I love the player that he is, I think the reality is it's really hard to be a point guard in the NBA and actually have that stuff matter. Like, you're either, if you think about it, it's a lot easier for like a 6'8" wing or just a 3-and-D off ball guy to like have some issues and work out.
Right.
If you're a point guard, you got to be stellar or you're not going to be in the league for long. And there's been a very big history of like either one and done point guards or even guys that have come in from the international level that have all the physical traits to get to the league. And for whatever reason, it's just not there. And teams don't want to put the ball in the hands of a guy like that. Collier has to be a guy that it works for in order for it to warrant putting the ball in his hands. And I'm just skeptical that'll actually happen. Best team fit. Where would be the best landing spot for Isaiah?
I have two answers, and this kind of goes against the spirit of the question. However, I think the Bulls will be a lot of fun because you're going to be trading Zach LaVine, hopefully, if you're the Bulls, and if you're Zach too. I think both sides want to trade. And your other like guard is Lonzo Ball, who says he's going to come back and play. We'll see about that. So you're basically relying on Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu. You need more guards. I think the opportunity is there for Collier to come in there and have a role, and he can play on or off the ball next to Kobe White. I think that presents some interesting and fun offensive potential. The other option, I think this is probably more likely, is the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors need some scoring pop in the backcourt, some athleticism, some attacking. Emmanuel quickly, I think, is settled into their starter at point guard. I think they're still convinced that's going to be the case for him. But his backup last season was Javon Freeman Liberty, DJ Carton. Like, they need some depth at the one. So if Collier is available in the Raptors pick, I believe at 19, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I love the Raptors one. I think I'd be sad if it ended up in Chicago. I think Riley made this point the other day, but that seems where a lot of careers go to die right now. It makes me bummed out. I don't want to see that happen. I could see Toronto working out. My best team fit for him was Cleveland. I couldn't shake this. I think they have Donovan Mitchell. They have Darius Garland. There are rumors that they're going to break that duo up. Some people have reported that they're not going to do that, and they're refuting that already. I kind of feel like Garland could be on his way out. That's my read here.
Yeah.
And if Garland is on his way out, I would love a Collier Mitchell backcourt. I think those guys are wired the same. I think they complement each other very well. I think there's explosion. I think Mitchell could make Collier's life easier. And now that I'm talking this through, it kind of does feel like the NBA version of Isaiah Collier and Boogie Ellis, which was a complete disaster. So maybe I'm a total idiot on this. I don't know. What do his peak year stats look like? His very best year in the NBA, what are the stats?
I think he finds a way to get a double digits. I think I'm going to go 10, 3, and 3. 10 points, 3 boards, 3 assists.
Okay. I only did points and assists for this one. I don't really care about the rest of it. I went 12 points, 5 assists. I don't think he'll ever really rebound in the league. And shooting wise, I think like mid 30s. I don't think he's going to shoot it great, but as long as he can be respectable, it could work. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a long stretch of 12 and 5, but I think there could be a year where he's asked to play that role and it works out. In 5 years, where is he? He could be all NBA, an all-star, a starter, a bench guy, a G League player overseas, or a podcaster.
I think he's a bench guy, but I think he is more back end of a rotation than he is closer to starting.
I could see that too. He could be a bench warmer instead of a bench guy. I said bench. I did think about G League for him, but ultimately it's kind of one of those weird ones. I think he's going to hit his floor, and his floor might be in the G League, but I don't know. There is still this upside. Like I think it could be a year to year thing with him, where 1 year he's there and 1 year he's not, and it depends on situation.
Mhm.
Superlative. Isaiah Collier, out of every player in this draft class, is the most likely to what?
Post annual Ben Simmons offseason workout videos where he just becomes the Ben Simmons, where it is like, this is the year he's breaking through. This is the year he's doing this. Look at him in the lab, and he shows up and still can't shoot.
This makes me so sad for Isaiah. And it doesn't pair well with mine either for his prospects, I don't think. I said he's the most likely to become a successful SoundCloud rapper in the middle of his career. Couldn't you just see that? Like
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it, but like it's kind of Damian Lillardy to me, where like,
Yeah,
wait a second, he dropped an album and like, wait, it's kind of good.
I see that. That doesn't strike me as odd at all.
It's kind of weird. We're learning a lot about ourselves in this exercise, Brian. We have 74 more of these NBA draft scouting report videos going up, leading up to the NBA draft, dropping 5 per day on the Sleepers Media YouTube channel. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/nba-mini-games.